Hello, my name is Jessie Hillock. I'm the owner and founder of The Memory Compass. We are your family's personal memory loss navigator. We provide therapy, dementia family coaching, and consulting services to families on their journey living with dementia and Alzheimer's. My interest and how I got interested in brain health has to do with my work as a speech-language pathologist. I have a master's in communication sciences and disorders, and I work with individuals very closely, and there's so much misinformation out there about what is considered normal healthy aging in the brain and not normal healthy aging in the brain function. I work as a therapist, providing therapy for patients in their homes, but across the US, I work as a dementia family coach. And a lot of people might wonder what that means. When I help families with dementia family coaching, I am bridging the gap between, maybe what the neurologist has shared with the family about if their loved one has early stage dementia, middle stage dementia, late stage dementia. Well, what does that mean, in the day-to-day function at home? And how can I help families have a better understanding so they can understand, maybe there are environmental changes that they can make. It's how do we kind of adapt that activity and support the family, because there's a lot of frustration and there's a lot of burnout that can go along with this. What I find most rewarding about being a dementia family coach is when I can see that light bulb go off, when I explain the disease progression or the brain function to a family in a way that is not overcomplicated, and in a way that I can give them actual individualized tools and individualized recommendations in their care role. It's getting the care partner more comfortable with, in their own communication with their loved one, decreasing the amount of directions that they provide or changing their language. So for example, if you tell someone to do something, they're less likely to do it. But if you join in with them and say, let's go into the kitchen and then let's have lunch together, that's a lot better than telling someone, it's time for you to eat, you haven't eaten all day. So it's helping families get a better understanding of not only how to adapt their environment, but also how to best communicate with their loved one. I receive a lot of questions about what is normal aging and what is maybe indicators of a more advanced cognitive decline. So normal aging, as we age, we all have a little bit of change in our processing speed. So we have a little bit of noticeable slowness in our processing speed. So processing, directions or just thinking, thought processing. We start having a little bit more difficulty with our ability to multitask. Normal aging is putting your keys somewhere, your phone somewhere, and then forgetting where you place them. That's normal. And maybe there was a colleague that you worked with many years ago and you bump into him in the grocery store and you can't remember his name, but that's still normal aging. Not normal aging and a more advanced cognitive decline would be changes in mood and behavior. It would be, repetition of questions, noticeable word finding issues. It is difficulty with, sequencing, so maybe balancing a checkbook or remembering to take your medications. And it also is maybe noticeable agitation, increased agitation with others around you. Those can all be more signs of a more advanced cognitive decline and signs of not normal aging. Going to a familiar place like a bank and not remembering how to get home. Not normal aging is also, not being able to remember the names of your children or the names of your grandchildren. That's not normal aging. A lot of families have not been together for possibly 2 years because of COVID. So with Thanksgiving, this might be the first time that they're seeing their loved one for a holiday. And oftentimes, I end up getting an increase of people who reach out to me after the holidays because we haven't been around our loved one as much. And when we're around them, we start noticing things just aren't quite the same. Some key things to look out for are, Did you notice that your loved one was able to make the same recipe every year, but this year they're really struggling with the sequencing of that recipe? Or, are you in your loved one's home and you open up the refrigerator and you notice that there's a lot of things that are expired, or there might be multiples of a lot of things. Maybe they went to the store and they thought that they didn't have any carrots at home, and they came home and you see there's 4 bags in there. That's something that can start to happen with dementia. Thinking that you haven't picked something up from the store and then your refrigerator's full of it. Or you might notice that, maybe your loved one always kept the house really nice and tidy, but you're starting to notice things are kind of piling up. And that's just not normal for your loved one. Or maybe you notice that, their appearance, they were always very well kept and they kind of start looking a little bit disheveled. So all of those things are things to look out for when maybe you haven't seen your loved one for 2 years and you might be having concerns that, is this normal aging, or is there something more advanced happening here? If you're at the dinner table during the holidays and you notice that your loved one might just seem a little bit different, some things to look out for are they kind of becoming socially withdrawn from the conversation? For example, at the dinner table, there's so much going on. You might have the TV on in the background. There might be multiple conversations going on across the table. And with dementia, oftentimes the individual has difficulty processing all of the different input. So are they able to, engage in the conversation, or do you notice them kind of really not responding or not initiating a conversation? During the holidays, something that you might notice if your loved one's starting to have some cognitive challenges or changes is, maybe there is a game that you typically play every holiday and your loved one's really having difficulty attending to the game or following directions, being able to pick up when it's their turn, when it's not their turn. You might notice also that they might have kind of a change in their mood. Maybe they become a little bit more easily agitated or irritated. Another thing that you might look out for during the holidays is during gift exchanges. Sometimes, the cards that are written might have a lot less language involved. Sometimes the writing might look a little bit more not as perfectly written. Sometimes the gifts you might kind of question a little bit. So it's appropriate for families to seek outside help when you notice that there are 2 or more kind of areas that we touched on of noticeable cognitive change that your loved one's demonstrating. So just like I said, the repetition of questions, increased difficulty with word finding, getting lost going to familiar places, changes in mood or behavior. Those are all things that if you're having more than one of challenges in those areas, it's important to seek additional help and go to a neurologist or go to your doctor. So if you notice that your loved one is demonstrating these cognitive challenges and you want to try to find what the next steps would be, it's important to know that the sooner that you reach out for services or for help from a doctor, the better, because then we can get a start on are there any medications, the things to implement for diet, exercise, a good sleep pattern, good sleep habits, nutrition, hydration, all of that. So it's very important, although of course very challenging, it's very important to go ahead and make those moves. If you feel like there's anything, if you feel like there could be dementia or Alzheimer's going on, I strongly encourage you to reach out for help because the sooner that you receive support, the better for everyone involved. I received questions from family members who have concern about their own brain health as they see that their loved ones, cognition is declining. And so I always recommend to families, it's really important to stay active, exercise, have good diet, have good sleep. All of those things are really important to help your own brain with aging. Nutrition is so important. To have good quality nutrition for healthy brain aging, and individuals who have dementia and Alzheimer's, diet is so important. It's been proven that a Mediterranean diet and mind diet are so beneficial for a healthy aging brain and functioning optimally. And if people cannot eat a Mediterranean diet all the time, then they would want to consider taking a supplement to fill those gaps. Although your loved one is experiencing cognitive decline, there are still rewarding and rich experiences along the journey, but it is the care partner and family and friends that have to adapt and learn how to adapt to the individual living with the disease. We cannot expect our loved one to change, and we can't expect them to adapt to us. But individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia still have purpose, and there's still so many things that we can do together, to bring joy in each other's lives.